digestion, a little bit of lingual lipase beginning to work in the stomach. The salivary gland, your saliva gland, okay. Parotid on the side, sublingual is underneath, okay. Oh, sorry, submandibular behind underneath the mandible, and sublingual, okay. Saliva, I talked about this earlier, amylase. It is the first, it start digesting, this start little bit of chemical digestion of the carbohydrate, okay. Mostly water, okay, and it's also got defensin, because you will have, you might eat some bacteria and things like that. That's kind of dirty. So it will kill some of the bacteria in there before you swallow. And don't forget, it has some lysosome and IgA, also to prevent bacteria from, if you ever ingest them, from going into your cheek and things like that, going through the epithelium. Regulation of saliva, 1,000 to 1,500 per day, is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so again, you will start salivating. Okay, it is on its own parasympathetic. It will stimulate. Okay, at the sight of just the sight, the smell, and the thought of food, think about something right now that you really like, and you will start salivating. Okay, it's got chemoreceptor, chemoreceptor, acidic substance, and mechanoreceptor. Anything that you put in the mouth, you will start salivating. Okay, the teeth, 2 sets before you are 20 of them before you mature, and then 32 when you're permanent. Again, your teeth is for mechanical digestion. So part of your teeth, it will be under digestive system. Okay, here is the breakdown of anatomy of the teeth. Again, this is also in the test, so try to remember that. Okay, so here's the crown, the neck, and the root. Okay, toughest part, we all know, is the enamel. Okay, dentine is the second layer, and then the pulp, the cavity, that's where the nerve and the blood vessels are. Let's see what else we need to know here. Okay, just remember these 3 layers. You guys remember what joint this is? Say, this is a joint, but it's not movable. Okay, remember it is a gomphosis or alveolar joint here. Here is the second part, the pharynx. Digestion and respiratory. Okay, skeletal muscle lined with stratified squamous connected to nasal and oral cavity. So we're gonna see this. Okay, the pharynx is this section right here. Okay, it is divided into 3 subdivisions. Okay, this one, the nasal pharynx, which is the superior to the soft palate. The oral pharynx is when the part that you eat, and the laryngeal pharynx, from the upper epiglottis to the esophagus. So the epiglottis is right there. This is that little floppy thing that will stop food from going into your lungs. Okay, so when you swallow, okay, it closes it. Okay, so food doesn't go into your lungs. So that's the epiglottis. epiglottis. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so the esophagus is that tube. It helps with propulsion of the food. It is from the laryngopharynx to the stomach. Again, the laryngopharynx is right here to the stomach, through the mediastinum, which is by the heart, and it goes through the diaphragm. So first, you have an upper esophageal sphincter. Okay, this sphincter, it's one of these things. Okay, it closes and open, closes, open. Okay, peristalsis, a wave of relaxation of the circular muscle precede the bolus. So first you chew and you make a bolus, and then as you swallow, it will squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. It's a wave of contraction of the circular muscle. We saw the circular muscle, okay, in the muscularis layer. Then the lower esophageal sphincter need to relax for food to go in. Okay? If it doesn't relax, food doesn't go in. Now this is the esophagus. Again, we've seen this in the earlier slides. Okay, remember the 3 layers: mucosa, lamina propria, and muscularis. Okay, so here's the lumen, that hole where food goes through. Okay, first layer would be mucosa, then submucosa, which are connective tissues. Okay, and then muscularis, which are got longitudinal and circular. Okay, which helps with peristalsis. The deglutition, okay, another word for swallowing. Okay, in the oral cavity, formation of the bolus, again that word. Okay, after you eat something, you form a little bolus, and then you push it posteriorly with your tongue, and that part is voluntary. Pharyngeal, in the oral pharyngeal, starts the involuntary part. Okay, controlled by the swallowing center in the medulla. Medulla is in your brain, right? Remember? Okay. It's a reflex that blocks the nasal pharynx and the larynx, and altering the constriction of and relax of the muscle to push the bolus to the esophagus. Once it gets in, the esophageal is involuntary again. Okay, it will contract and relax, contract and relax. So here's the stomach. The stomach is again linked to the esophagus and the duodenum, which is right after the picture. Maybe later. The duodenum is right after the stomach. The stomach is called the holding chamber. You can eat faster than your small intestine can digest and absorb. So the stomach holds and parts small amount into the intestine. So it doesn't matter how fast you eat, how much you eat, whatever your body lets down. Okay, once it's in your stomach, it will slowly release a little bit of food into the duodenum. Okay, which is part of the beginning of the small intestine. Okay, it will part small amount of food into the intestine, a little bit at a time. In the stomach, there is continual mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Okay, mainly protein in the stomach. What it does is it will denature the protein. Okay, it will also produce intrinsic factor B12, convert that big bolus that you swallow into chyme. Okay, various little absorption and transport to the small intestine. So the chyme is what the stomach lets go. They call a little chyme into the duodenum. And that's how you start digesting. Okay, so here's that esophagus, right? It's connected to your stomach. And then it will let a little bit out through the sphincter. Okay, call it pyloric sphincter. Okay, into the duodenum. So a little bit at a time. Okay. So the stomach is about the size of a fist. Okay, but it can stretch to hold 4 liters of food. So think about 2 liters of Coca-Cola, you know, that big bottle. Okay, 2 of those. Okay, you can hold about 2 of those. Again, it forms little chyme and goes into the duodenum. Okay, so in the stomach, there's a cardiac section. This is called a cardiac section. There is a fundus. This thing is called a fundus. There's a body. Okay, and here's the pylorus section. So, like a balloon, when your stomach stretches, all these little folds will stretch out. But when it's when it shrinks, when you're done digesting, okay, it will shrivel up and kind of look like wrinkles. Okay, these wrinkles are called rugae. Oh yeah, right there. Okay, rugae. Okay, histology. You gotta study a little bit deeper into the cells of the stomach. Now, this is where there's going to be some memorization. Okay. So here we are. This is the surface of the stomach. Okay, right there. It got little pit in there. Okay, little pit for gastric juice to come out. So these holes are called gastric pits. Okay, and underneath it, where all the gastric glands, this is where all the gastric juices are made. Okay, and on the bottom there are some cells called the chief cells. Okay, again, this is the mucosa layer, submucosa muscularis. Okay, it is made of simple columnar cells and lots of goblet cells. If you see goblet cells, it's usually in the intestine, stomach. Protective alkaline mucus. Okay, it's replaced every 3 days. So the gastric pit, okay, to the gastric gland, which is the section right here, which produce gastric juices. In the pit, surface mucosa gland, and in the glands there are different types of cells that we need to know in a minute. Okay, there are parietal cells, enteroendocrine cells, chief cells, mucosal neck cells. Okay, thin acidic secretion with unknown function. This one. Okay,